Okay, so let's start with human skills. And let's think about them through the lens of a lawyer. So law-focused AI tools can now generate contracts or deposition questions. They can review documents and so forth, all within a matter of seconds. In fact, legal services have been described as the industry most exposed to disruption by AI. AIs can take a bunch of work that you might consider busy work, or it's almost like a strategic thing that like an opposing party just dumps all this stuff on you so you can't do the actual valuable work. So you mentioned crafting arguments and presenting those arguments. Maybe lawyers might spend more time face-to-face with clients talking about business decisions. They might spend more time exercising judgment in complex legal matters. So really developing industry expertise, building relationships with clients. These are all things that you might expect. And it might, as you mentioned, also benefit people who are just joining the profession. Okay, so all of those things I mentioned can be broken down into one of the following 6 human skills. And this is true for any role. And we'll talk about how it applies to learning leaders specifically. So there are skills that are hard for current AIs to replicate. So you mentioned like a judge can tell what an AI argument is. Okay, so potentially it's because the argument lacks creativity. So our human skills are things like creativity, so the ability to come up with original ideas and employ them to make improvements. So in general, generative AI tools are going to struggle with creativity because they're limited by their training data, and that makes it hard to make conceptual leaps or come up with something that's really a novel thing. We also have empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. And AIs can be programmed to mimic empathy. They don't really have human emotions, and they can't share human feelings. Humans also have presence. That's the ability to command attention based on how you carry yourself, how do you communicate. And because generally current AIs lack bodies, they lack physical presence, right? So a lawyer is going to be doing that argument. They're going to be out there, and with their presence, they're going to be captivating the room, right? And presenting an argument in a particular way, right? We also have self-awareness. So we can check in with ourselves. We can think about, what is it that I really want here? How am I currently behaving? And then I can change based on that check-in. The current crop of AIs don't have consciousness as far as we know. They have no continuous personal history, so they struggle with that self-awareness. The 5th skill, maybe the most important, is judgment. So the ability to determine which course of action best aligns with our goals, and then making decisions based on those judgments. AIs are not human. We may never be able to fully trust an AI to make a decision in our best interests. Okay, and then lastly, there's dexterity, which maybe doesn't apply to a lot of you, but humans do have the ability to perform a wide variety of physical tasks that require fine motor skills. So think about plumbers, electricians, and so forth. Robotics is a little bit behind some of these other developments. And so dexterity is this other crucial human skill that AIs can't replicate. Note, these are all kind of basic human abilities, but the reason we can call them skills is they can be applied in a skillful way to a task, and we can actually get better at these things outside any context. You can learn to become more creative in general or more empathetic in general. It's hard, but that's what makes it worth it. Okay, so assuming this list does not shrink on us too much, if it shrinks down, we're going to all pack our bags and go home together, and no one's going to be doing work. But this list holds for now. So these things are human skills. And if you look at something like coaching, so we had mentioned that earlier, right? So there are currently chatbots that you can use to coach you, and they're good because they're always on, they're really goal-oriented, they're programmed to be polite, patient, and supportive no matter how many times you yell at them. And they're free or very cheap. So you can actually even have like multiple of these AI coaches if you wanted. Of course, what they lack is human skills. So a human's coach might have creativity to suggest new approaches, or would have empathy to really understand what you're going through. Or maybe it's really important for your coach to have a presence that comforts you or inspires you or motivates you. A coach might have self-awareness to approach the conversation with you in different ways depending on the context. And a human coach, you can trust them to make recommendations that align with your goals. And note, we can take something like coaching. Okay, yeah, coaching, that's a human thing. But we can really apply these human skills to any task, almost any task, to create additional value. So we're going to go into breakout rooms for a moment. What I'd like you to think about is one of kind of three approaches. One approach is you can choose for yourself one or two signature skills that you want to focus on that apply to any task when relevant. So you may find that what you really excel at already is something like empathy. And maybe there's a way to apply empathy to just about any task you do. Or instead of starting by thinking about skills, you can just take any task that comes across your plate and then reflect on whether you can do it better by utilizing one of the human skills. So you can do a mental checklist. Here's this task I have. Can I add value by doing this more creatively? Or what would it mean to be more empathetic here, or have more presence or better judgment or more self-awareness? Even seemingly completely automated processes might end up relying on human judgment at the end, in the last mile, to check in and see, did everything go well, using judgment or using empathy or something to approve work that's being done by an AI. Lastly, you can also just find a small handful of tasks that you do as a learning leader. I'm assuming all of you are like that because of the class title, but some of you maybe aren't. And there might be some specific tasks that you do that really would benefit from extra human skills that you currently can't apply them to because you're too busy doing other things that maybe an AI can help you with.